Hi, Vanessa Bell Calloway.
Hello, I'm Tika Sumpter.
Hey, Richard Tanne. Parker Sawyers. I'm John Lennon.
Well, I think the answer to the first question for me in sort of getting the idea and then sitting down to write it, and then the MO in making the movie was, if I was a smarter person, there would have been more trepidation. But I just didn't consider the political ramifications or the grander sort of journalistic questions that might arise, because I was just so compelled by that one day and by their relationship in general, just the way that they look at each other, the way that they flirt. There's a special connection between the president and the first lady, and it's a rare thing in people that you just hang out with in life, and it's even rarer in public figures. So I just sort of dove in and said, well, we're just going to worry about creating this moment in time, and we're gonna work on an evolving connection between two people, and we'll let you as the viewer bring your own sort of relationship with the people that we see on TV every night and read about every day. You can bring that to it, and that's an extra layer. But we'll just all focus on the love story, and then I think that extended to Tika and Parker embodying the characters.
Yeah, I mean, we never, from the very beginning, we never wanted to do a parody or a caricature or imitation. It was always very clear that we wanted to embody the essence of who they are or were at that time. So Rich made sure when we were on set that, if it was too much Barack or if it was too much Michelle or too heavy on the tone of our voices, or he always pulled us back. He knew exactly what he wanted vision-wise, and then we trusted that. And I think everything, including Vanessa's character, being Marion, and the set design and all of it, kind of blended itself to inform you who these people were. Seeing the bungalow, seeing his car with the hole in it, seeing his cassette, seeing all these things kind of brought together, contributed to both characters, so that we didn't have to layer it on too much. We just wanted to humanize them.
Yeah, and speaking to humanizing them, I mean, he was a law student, he was an intern, and he was just a guy trying to get a girl in the summer of '89. And so as long as I focused on that and played the truth of the scene and just made sure, just flirty and playful and let my intentions be known, then it was a little easier not to go into the caricature.
And I think there will be a lot of Obama art created inspired by the Obama's life and his presidency. And if you were going to try to do kind of a sweeping biopic about these two amazing people, you'd probably need a little more perspective and distance from the presidency. But this actually, there is a lot of distance between their first date and now, and there's plenty of perspective about what they've become. And I think it was brilliant of Richard to come up with the idea of just focusing on this one moment in time at the beginning of the relationship. Now that we've seen what they've become, now we can see how that started out.
And as trying to embody the mother, I really had to do a lot of work because we don't see or hear a lot of her. So Richard turned me on to some video and some interviews, and then I read some of her son's book to get an idea of her tonality and who she was and her perspective. So you just have to try to do the homework.
This film and
Well, I'm not. First of all, I'm not going to take all the credit for the sound. We have a great music team and music supervisors and our director, of course, who knew what kind of tone they were trying to set and were able to do that. But my job as a songwriter was to write a song that was in the spirit of the film, that connected to their conversations, and connected to who they were and what they were trying to do through the course of the film, but also listening to the tone of the film that Rich created and writing a song that felt like it matched that tone. And so my sense watching the rough cut of the film was that, one, it was a very intimate look at a very public couple. So I wanted the song to feel intimate and close. And I sang it in a way that is basically like a whisper. I don't really sing live in that manner most of the time. I don't sing in the studio in that manner most of the time. It's kind of a specific expression of my voice that I don't use a lot. But the idea behind the way I wrote it and the way I sang it was to create that sense of intimacy and vulnerability and uncertainty that we all feel in a first date. You don't know where it's going to go, and basically I was kind of thinking about what the president might have been thinking at that time, which, you know, he was trying to convince Michelle to give him a chance, and she was looking at it, you know, like, let's stay professional. But he saw something special in her, and I think eventually she saw something special in him. And he basically was saying, like I say in the song, that we don't know where it's going to go, but it won't go anywhere unless we start. And this movie is about to start.
No, but you interpreted it that way, which tells us a lot about you. That was without a doubt one of those instances of creative license. To the best of my knowledge, you know, Michelle agreed to go out with him. I don't know whether it was under the pretense of a date or just a day kind of hanging out together. She was extremely reluctant, but she did agree. So just to sort of hang a conflict on it, because we know how it ends, I wanted to dramatize that a little bit more.
Well, I didn't feel that much pressure. I mean, I'm still a young actor in the sense that I've only been acting 5 years. So I just jumped at the chance to be a lead in a film, and I was more concerned with just finishing it in 17 days. And we had a lot of dialogue, so I focused on the work, and that's it. And then when I really got into the character, and it's just, you know, like I said, it's a law student, and he really wants to get to know this woman. Once I focused on that, the pressure went away.
Tika?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like once we got it greenlit, it was like, holy cow, you have to play Michelle Obama. Well, Michelle Robinson, but once I stripped away Michelle Obama and went down to the studs of Michelle Robinson, the girl from the south side of Chicago, who just like me has been told no many times about what she could and couldn't do by society and people in society, it made it very clear to me, and I felt very connected to her and, you know, her family and all that stuff. I feel like why a lot of people do feel connected to this movie is because they feel at home in it. They feel like there's some sort of realness and relationship that it's like sitting on your grandma's favorite couch, or you know what I mean. So that's how I felt playing Michelle, being in that bungalow, you know. But yeah, so once I stripped it down, I was cool. It was just me and Michelle Robinson.
Thank you so much.
I'll probably take my hand out of my pocket a little more. But yeah, I based that on, there's a video of him speaking when he was like 29 at Harvard at a rally, and his hand was in and out of his pocket. But yeah, maybe a little less.
No interaction with anyone in their inner circle. I mean, I wrote this script, you know, in my dad's house in Roseland, New Jersey, like 3 years ago. So it was just done completely in obscurity. So I didn't have that kind of access. But about a year later, our agents at the William Morris Endeavor Agency had sent the script to the inner circle. That's all we were sort of told, and we just didn't want disapproval. You know, we didn't get approval, but we also didn't get disapproval. So that was sort of our green light. Okay, we can go and make this, and we weren't shot down, you know, by the CIA while we were making it. So we were in their hotel, so we couldn't have made it without the people in Chicago. But as far as them having seen it, to the best of my knowledge, they haven't. But you know, I don't know.
They're definitely aware that it exists. I spoke to the president about it when he was in Los Angeles for a fundraiser, and I told him he should watch it, and hopefully he will.
No White House screening.
It's on offer now. He knows it
Okay.
exists, and we're happy to have him watching it and her watch it anytime.
You know, I think it kind of goes back to that thing I said earlier about the look that they give each other, and just finding that to be really special. And that's what actually just got me interested in them as a couple back in 2007, 2008. But then when I read about the first date, it was a movie to me already. It was the trimmings of the movie were baked into the cake, right? She wasn't interested. She gave him one day to prove himself, and I think it was relatable. I didn't know why I should tell that story. I didn't know why I should be the one to write it, and I think in retrospect I didn't sit down to do it until after I had fallen in love myself. And then when I experienced that for myself and had one of those kind of epic first dates, I started thinking about the idea again. And for me, it was what's the way in to tell this story for me, and it was when I realized it wouldn't just be kind of a sappy, gushy Hollywood love story. It would be about all those moments in between where you're meeting somebody who isn't just someone that you're attracted to and falling for, but they could change you. They could make you better. And that's how I was feeling at the time of writing it. And then you turn on the television and you see the First Lady and the President together, and that's what they're doing to each other. So that's when it clicked for me and it became a universal story. And I felt a little bit better about sitting down and writing it.
I mean, being there, it was, you don't always hear the best things about the South Side of Chicago, but when we were there, we were filming, it was like, hey, Michelle, hey, Michelle, the people were just so warm and loving and embraced us and let us film, and they were quiet when we needed them to be quiet, and people were excited, and there's an energy there, and there's a community there. That you don't always get to see. So I think that attributed to our film, and even just the blocks. Like, we filmed around the corner from Michelle's real house, and that block was just like, I want to live here. Just bungalows and family, and it felt very lived in, and like, I know that block. That's my family's block. So we couldn't do it without the thread of Chicago. I mean, it's who they are, it's who she is, for sure.
I just wanted to add one thing to that when we were location scouting at Altgeld Gardens, which is where the president organized in his 20s, that was an opportunity for me to actually talk to people who knew the president. And they were just so generous in the stories that they shared. Not anything too specific and anecdotal, but just more the feeling that they got being around him even back then. And so there were things I was able to talk to Parker about after having that experience. One thing I remember was the sort of council lady who leads the charge over there. She was the daughter of the most prominent organizer in the gardens. So her mother was working intimately with young Barack Obama, and she said all of the women in the gardens were in love with him. And that all of the men were jealous of him. So kind of giving that to Parker a little bit. I mean, he took it and ran with it.
I could add too, anytime you go into a community, I was only there for a couple of days, but anytime you're shooting in a community, we as actors and directors and just crew, you have to give back and give back in the sense of your kindness and your warmth and your generosity. So when people come up to you and like, hi, oh, I love you, can I take a picture? Yeah, come on. So I've had a lot of, I was there 2 days, but I had a lot of new friends that took a lot of pictures. But I was glad to do it because, you want to be welcome back and you want to make them feel like that they are an integral part of your being there and, in making this movie as well.
Yeah.
Definitely. There was a spiritual support from the community. And anytime you told somebody you were making this film, they said, oh my God. And you got that energy. And, we had to do it very quickly, but it was a smooth ride.
Well, I want to talk about both of them because I've been around both of them quite a bit, and I think they are just so cool. We are so fortunate to have two people who are so brilliant, so authentic, so honest and full of integrity, and who have true love for each other and create this beautiful partnership together as the representative couple of America. They represent us to the world, and I think we should be proud that they do that, and they do it so well. And what's so cool about them to me is that with all this power, with all this grandeur that surrounds the office, they're still really down to earth. They still are really in touch with the people and still so relatable. And I think that comes from the fact that they know where they come from and know where they met and know that he was an organizer in the community before he became the president, and I don't think he's ever forgotten that and forgotten who he is, and she's never forgotten that she's from the South Side. And I think they still carry that with them everywhere they go, and I think it gives them perspective. And what I think is that Quincy Jones once told me that you know somebody's cool when they're the same person no matter where they are, whether they're in the White House or hanging out with their friends or wherever they are, they're authentic. And that's what I think about the president and the first lady. It's great. Well, not even talking to him, seeing the film first. I knew Tika before, but I didn't know Parker. And just watching the film, I forgot it wasn't them. You know, I just got into the zone and really felt like I was watching Barack and Michelle. And that's why I think they did such a marvelous job, because you really forget that it's not them. They really nailed it.
Actually, I met the president and embarrassed myself. I was at a fundraiser and I shook his hand and they waited for my handshake to. I said, what are you doing? The Secret Service is here to get me.
Well, it was a surprise. So, the week before, Rich said that we were going to do the speech on a Thursday. We were going to do, the scene where I walk into the church. We were going to do that scene, but on Wednesday. So I was going to do the speech on Thursday. But the Steadicam guy didn't show up. It was like a scheduling mishap. So Rich comes to me at 7:30 in the morning and goes, dude, we have to do the speech today. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. All right. I had rehearsed it in my hotel room that weekend in preparation. And then out of 8 setups?
8 setups, probably 30 to 40 takes within those setups. He messed up, I think, 3 words. But we'd gone to the church a couple weeks earlier to block it out and rehearse it a little bit, and he was already off book, so.
And it was actually amazing just to be there in the church watching him. Everybody in the audience was just staring at him like, Barack. Yeah, it was like everybody was just in a zone, and I was just looking around like, guys, okay. It was great. It was amazing to be there because it felt very real, and he was fantastic.
And how many first dates do you get to impress your date in that manner?
You see, she changed her tune after that.
Including you? Yeah, no, I got it when I started acting. And so I was working on his voice and a little bit of the mannerisms for a while. But I do that with like a few other people that I'd like to play. So yeah, I was a little prepared. Yeah. I am.
Thanks,
It's observation. I'm really big on observation. I'm looking for something, positive and uplifting again. I think that's going to be my thing for a while. I think the world needs it, so I want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading some scripts and I'm about to work with John again on something.
Yes.
That we're putting together, so it should be out there soon. Just creating and just trying to make good content and great characters out there and good stories for you guys.
Thank you.
I recur on Shameless, and I also have a series called Saints and Sinners, which I'm the lead female actress.
I've been writing a movie for Pixar for the last couple of years, and so I'm excited about that. And thinking about the next thing I want to write to direct.
I can't get a hold of him anymore. I'm like, can you write? Nope. Sorry.
What a calling card this film is. And then our company, Get Lifted Film Company, as Tika said, we're working together on a TV project. We have Underground, of course, that's on WG in America, and we have quite a few other films and shows in development right now. We're excited about that. And as an artist, I have a new album that'll be coming out this fall. So that's exciting too. We'll talk about that later.
How do you